In this first video on how local works, I'm going to give you the basic intuitions for local expressions and also show you how to write well-formed local expressions. Well, it's graduation time once again. We're going to move on to a higher level learning language. So as before, I go down to the lower corner here and I click and I get a menu that you can't see right now. I have to click on Choose Language and then I get to choose Intermediate Student under the How to Design Programs languages. So now I'm an intermediate student. And it's yellow because I haven't run yet. As soon as I run, it won't be yellow anymore. So what we're going to do now, the reason we switched to this new language is to get a new language construct called local. And our presentation of local is going to be broken up over several short videos. I'm sure you'll be glad to get a short video after some of last week's videos. So here's an example of using local. I won't type the whole thing out, I'll just put it here for you to see. And in a minute I'll talk about the rules for forming local. So I'll more precisely talk about the different parts of the local. But intuitively for now, the local has two parts. It has the definitions, which are here, and the body, which is here. And the way to think about the local is it says, hey, these definitions, they're valid only inside the local. They're not valid anywhere else. So if I run this program, you shouldn't be too surprised to get the result is 3. Because this says, hey, inside the local, A is 1, B is 2, and this thing called the body is an expression which is evaluated to produce the result of the local. So that's a local where all of the locally defined definitions are constants. Here's a local in which one of the locally defined definitions is a local constant. I'm putting those in lowercase. And the other locally defined definition is a function definition. Local will let you have any definitions you want in this define part. You could even put a define struct, but we're not going to do that. So this says, hey, there's this locally defined constant p, the value is Accio, and hey, there's this locally defined function, and the body of that function happens to refer to p, but that's okay because p is defined as a constant inside this local. So if I say run this, then I get Accio port key. Okay? The way to think about it is it's almost as if I had done this. Only almost as if. It's different in important ways. But it's almost as if I had done this, where the definitions were what's called at top level. They weren't inside a local. And I just did that. But it isn't that. It's quite different, and it's different in an important way, which is these definitions are only valid inside the local. So in particular, if I try to use A out here, it says there is no A, because the A is only defined inside the local. Or if I try to use fetch out here, it's not valid out here, because it's only valid inside that local. So that's the way in which it's different. Now, in the next 2 videos, I'll talk more precisely about the exact way in which it's different. But let me now just talk more precisely about exactly how you form a local. We're going back now to the kinds of slides we saw way back in the first week of the course. The rule for forming a local is straightforward. Local is an expression, so you can put it anywhere you would put an expression. There's open paren local, and then there's a bracket, and by convention we use a square bracket. And then there's a balancing square bracket, and in between those 2 brackets there can be any number of definitions. 1, 2, however many you want. There can even be 0 definitions, but in that case it isn't very useful to have the local. So local, the definitions, and then there's a thing called the body, which is an expression. And the intuitive way of understanding the local is that it sets up the definitions, it sets up a special world that has these definitions, and then evaluates the body and produces that result. So there you go. There's our initial intuitive understanding of local and how to form a local expression.